Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel once again. Yeah, so for today's tutorial, I'll be teaching us how to make our corset channel, our bony channel, and also the eyelet bar, or you can call it eyelet channel, and also how to make a perfect bra cup. So we are starting with the boning channel. All right, so I cut out 2.5 inches width of a material. I placed it on where I wanted the bony to be. So I placed it and sew it for like 1 inch. Then I inserted my the Regilene bony. I'm making use of the size of 12 mm Regilene bony. So I placed the Regilene bony on the fabric, that 2.5 width material, and I make sure the Regilene bony is covering it properly, which means the material is just lying on it for halfway, right? Then I allow the length of the material to be as long as possible because I'll be trimming it when I get to the tip of the line of the gown of the corset I am sewing, right? Like you see me do. Then I stop stitch it on one side of it. You can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm trimming it off, the excess off, right? Then the remaining part of the fabric, I will now have to fold it like 2 or 3 times, like how numbers of time the material can go. Then I'll be placing it on top of the boning to sew the other side of um the Regilene boning. Using this method is very good because it will make your work come out well, right? I have other methods I use as well. I have other methods, and I've posted also the methods, different methods you can use. You can check my channel for that, but this is one of the latest ways you can use to achieve a very neat um corset channel, and bony channel for your corset, right? You can see I'm trying to make it very, very straight. Doing it this way, we allow your boning to be very stable inside it, because underneath it, under the material, I have e stay attached to it already. Then also the top of the bony as well. You can see because I folded it like 2 or 3 times, it will not allow the bony to pop out at any point in time. So it gives you a kind of a rigid bony structure if you make use of this design and this method, and you are going to achieve a very neat one. I promise you that. Just like you are seeing me do, I will show you the end result because it's going to be very neat and very straight. Very neat and very straight. Then don't remember I'm using 12 mm size of Regine boning. So if you are going to be adding a plastic boning inside it, if you are going to be passing it through inside it, then you are going to be using a smaller size of it. Probably you are going to be using 6 mm of plastic bony, right? So you can see how straight my bony channel is. Now let's move to our eyelet bar, or you can call it eyelet channel. And what I'm doing here is I'm attaching the lining of the back, because I'm doing the back of the corset I'm sewing right now. So I attach the lining, and I'm sewing the lining and the material together. This method is for the corset you drafted and you imputed your dart in it. So this corset has a dart. There are some corset that you don't need to add your dart, right? So but this type of corset, I added my dart, and it is that will help me to achieve what I'm trying to achieve here. So I'm joining the back and the back, the lining of the back and the material itself. I'm joining it together. That is at the center back. That's the place you can see. That's the center back, right? Okay, so now I am now going to focus more on that place I'm touching is the dart line which I joined. I removed the dart to cut through, and I rejoined it again, right? So it's on that line that I'm adding my boning now. The stitch, the sewing allowance is what I'm stitching that boning on, not on my previous sewing, but on the sewing allowance, the 0.5 inches I sewed out for the sewing allowance, that's where I am attaching the bony on the that on the that line. Hope you understand this. Then remember to be leaving like 1 inch or 0.5 inch before you cut out your regular bony, right? So I'm also doing this. I'm also attaching the bony to the other side of it, that is at the center back this time around, because that is very close to the center back. So I'm adding my bony on both sewing allowance. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to tell you. So I'll be attaching it, and if you notice, I'm stitching on one side of the bony. I'm stitching on just one side of the bony, right? But if you so wish, if you are doing this method for the first time, you can sew on both sides. You can sew on both sides of the bony. But I sewed on one side of it. When you are good at it, you can follow my method by sewing on one side. So looking at it now, I'm through attaching the bony on the sewing allowances, right? Then I now place the lining properly. So in between the two bony channels are where the eyelet will be placed, right? So I'm trying to finish it up. I'm stitching the upside or the upper side of the corset. I'm trying to stitch it all round. So since I've stitched the center back, I'm also trying to close the upper side. Then I'll also be closing the side sewing allowance as well. Then I'll be leaving the hemming line of the corset open, because that is where I'll be using to turn it. So right now I'm closing the side. You can see the curvy shape. I'm closing the side of the corset, right? So after I'm through with that, I will now turn it over. When I turn it over, you are kind of going to understand what I'm trying to talk about here, right? So right now I'm turning it over. When you are turning yours over, try to make sure the edges are out properly. Use your scissors to push it out properly, right? So that you'll be having a very good and neat finishing. All right. So having done that, I will now make sure that I try to stop stitch the second side of the bony I inserted earlier. You remember I told you I am stitching one side of it. So I'm tracing out the bony. I'm using my hand to trace it out, flatten it well, and sewing the other side together with the material. Hope you understand this, right? It's actually very easy. Just use your hand to hold the bony down, feel it, hold it down, and top stitch like that. So by so doing, you are going to be having a very neat finishing as well, and it won't even look like, oh, this is your channel, because it's going to blend with your data line. It's going to blend with it. So I'm moving to the second side. I'm moving to the second side of it. That's the second bony, right? So I'm top stitching on the second line, which I have not done before as well. So doing this will make it look like, oh, all of them are bony channel, and then the eyelet bar is not that visible as such. So it's going to give it a kind of different look. Remember, I told you this method is used for the corset you added that. Is the corset you added that, right? Because at the back is going to give you the um lacing of the back is going to come out with a kind of very beautiful shape. That is what this method is meant for. So you can see I have to use the pencil and a chalk to draft out where the eyelets will be, so that you understand what we are doing here. So this is the hemming line of the corset, which we'll be using a our what's it called, our bias to tone. You cut out, you use your material to cut out in form of a bias, and that's what we are going to be using to tone it. All right, so I'm just trying to do the second side of the back. I'm doing the second. So when I'm done doing that, when you're done doing that, just impute your eyelet. And also let me note this here, using this method, if you are going to be making use of inserting your highlight by yourself, your highlights, you are going to be inserting it by manually, not with a machine. This method is also good because at the center where you will be putting your highlight is soft, because there is no bony at that very point. So it's easy for you to use your scissors to cut it out and insert your highlights manually using your hand without machine. The other method is purposely for majorly for a machine, right? Because you are going to be sewing a three Regilin bony on the eyelet channel. But this one where I'm marking out now, there is no bone there. Just use your scissors to cut out where the point those mark is, and you are good to go. All right, so let's move into our bra cup. To fix your bra cup, the first thing you need to do is to mark out the middle. Fold it into two, mark out the middle. Also fold out your corset, where the corset, mark it out as well, mark the center, the middle. Then you will now align both middle together, just like that middle and the one of the material. Put it together, make sure it aligns. Then you start your sewing from the middle. You are going, I'm trying to take out time for you to understand and spell it out properly for you. All right, so our sewing will be starting from the middle, and you have to do this gently. You don't need to rush, because it's a curvy area. Even with if you are driving a car, when you go to a curvy area, you slow down a bit, right? So that's one of the mistakes, and that's one of the techniques we tailors need to understand. So at the curvy area, you slow down. So after you have aligned the middle of both bra cup and the material, the bodies together, right? Okay, so you start sewing. As you are sewing, you curve, you continue to curve a bit, sew, curve, sew, and then curve. By the time you are through with that line, you will get a perfect matching bra cup and the bodies. No one will be longer than the other. This is a very unique method that is very helpful. So when you are done with the first half, the second half, make sure you trace out except if you are using left hand. But if you are using right hand, you need to trace it out with your material. Make sure it aligns, you get to the tip. Then use your hand to hold down the tip and start your sewing from there. All right, so you are going to slow down the same way and make sure it aligns. Remember to use your hand to trace it out first before you start your sewing from the tip. You are supposed to start your sewing from the middle like you started earlier, but because I'm a right hand person, I'm not a lefty. It's not easy for me to use my left hand or working on the other side like that. So I find a way to do that, so by tracing it out first, then using my hand to hold it down, then I start my sewing from there to meet up in the middle. So doing like this, you end up with a perfect stitch. You end up with a perfect stitch. So this is what we are having. You can say that very perfect. This is how to fix your bra cup in your cup corset. This is how to fix it right. So I'm actually going to pick the second bra cup and then fixing it, repeating the process so you get to understand it better. All right, just watch through. I'm repeating the same process by getting the middle of both the bodies and the bra cup, then aligning. and stitching just the way I stitch the first one. Just take your time to watch through and understand. All right. So as you are watching and you understand, I also need to spell it out here because I forgot um to capture that aspect down. When you are through get sewing your bra up to your bodies, the next thing for you to do is to top stitch round that bra up. Top stitch just the same way you are looking at that bra up facing down. That I mean the first one I've done, the front side of the bra up, right? Just put it on your sewing machine and top stitch at that tip. Those places you just the curvy areas, you are going to be stitching very close to those to that joining to that joining seam, right? You are going to just to top stitch and hold that curve down. That's what you are going to be doing. I am actually sorry for that. I forgot to capture that down. It would have been easier for me to explain to you, but it's better I just remind you, if for those of you that can understand what I'm trying to say. All right, just the curvy area at the front side of it, then you top stitch. Once you top stitch, your bra cup is going to stand well. It's not the line, the stitch line will be perfect. No side of it will be popping out. All right, that's the work of top stitching. That's the work of top stitching. Okay, so here we are done fixing our bra cup. You can see that they're exactly the way the bra cup is facing down now. Just top stitch round like that. We are going to top stitch round like that. All right, so
Friends, this is what
here
we
we
have.
are.
I'm
This is
yet
the
to press
front.
it. This is what
You
we are
can see
having.
how beautiful it is
Look
sitting
at how
well.
set the cup,
You
everything
can see
is.
how beautiful it is sitting
How
well.
neat it is. I've not
And the
pressed it at
down
all.
part, the
Right,
hemming line,
so
I've
this is
not
the
top
back.
stitch.
This is what we have for the back.
I've not
This is where the highlights will be fixed.
hem it.
So you can see the
I've not handled
eyelet
the
passage is
bias.
quite
All
different from
right,
the regular one.
and
It's quite different
I'm
from the
yet to
regular one. It
iron
was
it.
fixed
I'm here to iron what you are
just
seeing, but it is already
as the
coming
normal
out
way we
very
fixed.
beautiful well, very
We input our that,
beautifully
and that
well.
is why I created my
We have it
channel, and that is why we are
beautiful
having this.
already.
All
So
right,
this
so
is
if you have
what
watched
we've
to this
got.
level, don't
This
forget
is
to
what
like,
we've got.
share, and subscribe to this channel.
If you know
All
you are
right,
yet to subscribe at this point, kindly like, share, and subscribe. This is our henna side. You can see the neatness of the henna side as well. It's not rough. Very beautiful. Very
this
beautiful.
is
And you
how the
can see
back
how
look like,
the eyelet channel look like at the
and
back,
this is the back
and also
of
the inside of our
the
front
blouse.
look too
This is the
as
back
well. So if you want to achieve a
of the
very neat
front.
finishing like this and a very nice corset like this, kindly go through the video as many times as you want for proper understanding. And this is our end result. This is our end result. Don't you think this is just too beautiful? Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I love you all.